Anti-vaccine advocate, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has fired all 17 members of the Federal Advisory Committee that guides the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on immunization practices. Kennedy justified the move by accusing the committee of being, quote, plagued with persistent conflicts of interest, unquote, and claimed it had become little more than a rubber stamp for any vaccine. The panel, known as the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, is responsible for reviewing, evaluating, and making public recommendations on vaccination protocols. ACIP was scheduled to meet later this month to evaluate this year's COVID-19 vaccines, but we won't know what happens next because he's fired them. This is absolutely par for the course. They don't care about experts. Kennedy thinks he is one. He absolutely is not one. He is not a doctor. He is not a scientist. He's a conspiracy theorist, Alec.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's just, the fact that he fired these independent vaccine advisors, that I don't think that's public health. It's dangerous, and it's a form of authoritarianism. And I think, it's calculated, and especially amongst, a community where distrust has been in the health community. Our people really carry the scars of medical abuse, from the Tuskegee to Henrietta Lacks to, just the lack of care in hospitals and hospital racism today. And I think we have every right to ask those hard questions. But what RFK is doing isn't accountability; is really sabotage, and it's on the backs of Black and brown folks. That while our system is flawed, it's meant to still center science, data, and public health. And what he has done is really thrown away the science, and it really puts people in a space to not trust already for a system that we already don't trust. And so it's very dangerous, and it's our health will be at the collateral of these decisions most drastically.
Mustafa?
Yeah, everything that he just said is exactly correct. This is dangerous and egregious, right? You are literally playing with the health of folks across our country. And of course, we know our most vulnerable communities are the ones that often carry the burden. So this is just another continuation of that. Now, I have helped to put together these high-level federal advisory panels before. Many of the things that were shared are just not true. When you have these advisory panels, you are going out and trying to find the very best. And you're not necessarily trying to also just bring individuals on who see the world through the prism that you look through. You want to have a very diverse group of individuals. I know the word diverse probably scares them, but in the way that they actually get down. But when you have these advisory panels, they provide that advice and recommendation, whether it is to an administrator or to a secretary, about the things that they should be considering. They write in-depth reports, and they walk through some of the most critical issues that our country is facing. So for them to just fire everybody and then try and go out and get individuals who are going to be a part of that same group think, because these are the individuals that actually are not interested in diversity of thought. These are the individuals who are not interested in actually taking a hard look at subjects. They just want folks to join who will say what they need to say. And the answer to that is yes. So we need to be very mindful of what is currently going on, and both the short-term and long-term impacts of not having the right individuals with medical background, as you said, with public health background, and what are the other categories that they may have who are helping to keep our country safer.
Larry?
Roland, when they confirmed, Kennedy to HHS, it for me, it reminded me of letting the fox in the hen house. The United States leads the world in terms of, where we talk about institutes or college universities in terms of research as it relates to public health. He's dismantling all that. And so, getting rid of this advisory committee is going to disproportionately hurt Black and brown people. And particularly, like I said, you can see this coming a mile away. We already know he's an anti-vaxxer. And on top of that, let's remind folks, we're just a few years out from a pandemic. This is not the time to have someone like this in charge of our public health apparatus, particularly, like I said, the challenges that the world has faced just a few years ago. But he's been confirmed, and now we're seeing the repercussions of that. Once again, someone who doesn't believe in science, who tries to drink, unpasteurized milk, take nosedives into polluted waters should not be in charge of what happens in everyday lives of individuals as it relates to dealing with diseases and vaccines. And what I worry about, Roland, is, and like I said, in terms of the world we live in today, it is very easily, we've saw these measles outbreaks we've had in Texas and other places over the last couple of months. It is very easily for situations like that. Once again, what about the flu and possibly COVID? Once the winter comes around, all these things can happen and have a tremendous impact on the lives of individuals, a lot of Americans. And once again, there is no guarantee that another pandemic or something similar cannot happen during this administration's time. So having Kennedy in charge, and once again, he's trying to dismantle all the scientific knowledge that's been built over decades, is going to be challenging for this country, and it's going to contribute to problems not just for this generation, but generations ahead in the future.
Folks, you've heard me say this time and time again, and I'll say it right now. Ain't no millionaires and billionaires contributing to our show. Even the black ones. Do you have major advertisers who are spending their ad dollars with us? Absolutely not. Because the agencies say that, well, we don't do news. We can't do news. But I see these ads on Fox News. I see the ads on CNN. I see them on MSNBC. And there were people who literally said, oh, no, this ain't going to work. This is going to fail. Here we are 6 years and 4 months later. 1.58 million followers, started with 157,000. But it's also because of our fan base who contributed. 10,000 people watching live just on YouTube. More on our app, more on YouTube and the other places where we stream. And it's a lot of people, and they're people who I know personally, people who call and ask me to do favors, who don't even contribute to the show. There are people I've seen on social media talk about, how we got to build our own ecosystem, support our own, who don't actually do it. My man Michael Harriet used to be with The Root, launched something called Contraband Camp. Last night, I signed up, $59.99 for a year. Because I can't say we need more black media, and I can't say that, but then I don't actually support it. Other people who I've actually poured into, invested in. So when I ask you to join us, there are people who are in our YouTube chat who are joining in. We don't charge a subscription fee. There's no minimum amount we charge you. Because the goal that we wanted is for this to be open so people can be able to access it. I was walking through the Atlanta airport when I arrived on Tuesday and I left on Wednesday. And so many brothers and sisters stopped me and they said, man, I'm watching your show. I'm listening to the podcast. Thank you. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But y'all, I say it all the time, we cannot keep going if we can't fund it. The lease of our office is up next year. It's going to be an increase. When we talk about staff, there's some positions that we would love to fill. Today, we actually shot 2 pilots of a show that I would love to launch, and we're going to run those shows in the next 2 weeks. There are 2 of the shows that we're planning pilots on. That's going to cost money for the people producing and working it and for the people who are hosting the show. So I'm not saying please work for free. But we are not going to be able to have voices that speak for us if we don't support those platforms. So I do what I'm asking you to do. I literally support other black-owned media platforms because we need more of the voices than just me. I'm just one person. But I want to create Black Star Network to create more Black Stars. I want to be able for us to have 6, 8, 10 different shows hosted by Millennial, Gen Z, and other Gen Xers. I would love, I tried to do a show with a Generation Alpha, but the ask of his daddy was so outlandish that I said there's no way I can even do that. But there are others who I'm looking at. Oh yes, when I travel the country, I'm paying attention and I'm looking at people who are 12 and 14 and 15 years old and watching them saying, how can I support what they're doing and build the next generation? So when we ask you to support us, when I say we want 20,000 people on average giving $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, y'all, that's $1 million. That $1 million from those folks is huge. Brother hit me today. He said, man, I've been talking about contributing. He said, I finally did it today. He contributed $250. There's some other people I saw, they contributed $10. Somebody contributed $1.08. That 8 cents matters just like it was $800. It all adds up. So what we do here is what nobody else in Black-owned media is doing. We are trying to build a network of multiple voices that will speak to our people in a way to serve as giving the clarion call to justice, to truth, to honesty, to decency. The people who are going to cast the vision. And we need you to say, like the people did to Nehemiah, let us rebuild. I would love for all the people who are watching, would love for today for us to raise $100,000. If 2,000 people gave $50, and there's 10,000 of y'all on YouTube right now, we hit that easy. You can't give us direct on the Cash App because they shut down our accounts. So you can use Stripe. This is the QR code. I posted the link directly in the YouTube chat. But if you want to use Cash App for Stripe, it's right here. This QR code, if you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. If you want to give via PayPal, PayPal is paypal.me/rmartinunfiltered. Venmo is venmo.com/rmunfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com, roland@rolandmartinunfiltered.com. If you want to be old school, so your checking money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196.